Hello and welcome to the WIHS Journal, Public Affairs from 104.9 FM. I'm Paul Kretschmer. In the second of 2 days of broadcast, I'm calling I'm Still Here, about divorce when children are involved. Karen Kaye, therapist from Florida, is my guest. As we pick up our conversation today, she's talking about how important it is for a parent not to introduce a new adult into the relationship too quickly. One of those where the dust never settles kind of things and leaves people bewildered.
My clients, because of that, to try and be on their own with their children for a while before they introduce their children to other people in other families, that they need to develop a new family system of their own now without the parent that's, no longer there full-time or however it works. And very rarely do people listen. They're so quick to go into another relationship to soothe their pain that they're adding insult to injury to their children's pain. And I think they figure this all out kind of after the fact.
Yeah.
And that is sad.
It does, however, unfortunately sound consistent with people who would do things in the midst of such a terrible time all the way around to make decisions for their own benefit without taking into consideration the responsibility as a parent.
Yeah, well, they're assuming they know their children's needs without asking them, and that I don't think works very well. They're assuming that their child feels the exact same way that they do, and that's usually untrue. And parents can be very shocked by what their children say when in my office they're feeling safe and there's another adult there.
Yeah,
who cares about them?
That sounds consistent with the idea that if a child is in a situation like that, it's not just talking one-on-one is not going to be a safe place for them to say what they actually think. So they'll just deliver up whatever they perceive the parent wants to hear, and going to a situation such as your office would make quite a bit of difference in that regard. It would give them a safe haven to express their feelings, even if they're quite different than what their adults think they think.
Right. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt, but I don't know that they realize that their child is somewhat like a pawn or a prize that they're passing back and forth. And when I heard my daughter's introduction in the book and what she remembered, it just broke my heart. And I was a very conscious, careful parent, that was watching out for her.
Mm-hmm.
But even in that case, I can't protect her when I'm not there, and that's how it works. So, yeah, I think my book, My Parents Are Getting Divorced, I Wonder What Will Happen to Me, is from the level of a mother-daughter and now a level of two therapists. So there's a lot in this book. This isn't just our story, but our story is beneath it. But it's also how we've worked with other people. One of the children that I remember in my practice broke my heart in a session. She was sitting with the mom and I guess she felt safe enough to look at me and say, "So Karen, if I had been a good girl, would my daddy have stayed?" And I went, "Oh my God." I mean, it took all of me not to just break into tears. And this is what children are thinking most of the time. I mean, you can say to your kid, "It's not your fault, it's not your fault." And you can placate them in that way, but I think you need to find out if they're feeling like it's their fault. And I think through our book you might get a clue of that underneath what we say. It's not direct, but it's indirect. And I think that's better. You can't just ask a kid, "Do you think it's your fault?" Because they're not going to want the conflict of, "Yes, I think it's my fault." And how do you talk them out of it?
Yeah. I've heard in the past, in a counseling relationship I went through once, that feelings are there about a whole variety of different things in our life, but it's not appropriate to condemn someone for having feelings, because feelings are whatever are in you. They're not necessarily subject to a value judgment per se.
There's no good and bad feelings, and people try to say that there is. We say that feelings are friends, and I really think just knowing where you are is at least a start. Even knowing that you're sad is a start, and at least if they don't hold it in, they won't have all the problems of addictions and lack of intimacy and commitment later on in life. Remember, a parent's marriage, people don't realize this, is what makes a child feel safe or not in the world. So when this becomes unsafe, that child is feeling internally unsafe, that they can't trust the world.
I've read a devotion book recently, and one of the pages in the book talked about, from the writer's perspective, coming into the kitchen one day while his wife was preparing the evening meal, and just in kind of a playful mood, he grabbed a hold of her and swung her around the room and did some dancing steps with her, and she quickly picked up on it and followed his lead. And out of the corner of his eye, he saw his two children, small girls, maybe 5 or 6 years old, looking up and watching them move around the room like that. His older of two little girls looked up with a smile on her face, and he said to her, "What are you thinking? What are you thinking right now about Mom and I?" And she said a single word. She said, "Loved."
Aw, that's lovely.
And it made his whole day. It made his wife's whole day. And then the four of them had one big group hug.
Out of the mouth of babes. Like, they do know how they feel if you ask them. I think that sometimes parents' guilt, be it the one that wants the divorce or even the one that doesn't want the divorce, which is usually what happens, the guilt may not want, that parent may not want to look at the child because their guilt and their shame may be too high, and that may be why these little people don't have, rights or voices at that time. And a lot of fallout happens if it isn't handled well to these children later in life. And parents need to know that. How you deal with this will directly affect your child now and later. And the way in which you take it, the divorce, is going to be somewhat the message they get of how to deal with the divorce. So if someone's depressed, the children may be depressed. If someone's angry, the children may be angry. If someone's blaming or feels like a victim, the children are going to feel the same way.
They soak up a lot of what goes on around them, don't they?
Yeah. It's called a little sponge.
Yeah, for sure. For listeners who would like to have further information about the book or whatever other thoughts or musings you may have, then where do you direct them for further information then?
Okay, thank you. The book is www.imstill, STILL, me, M-E, book, BOOK.com. So that's www.imstillmebook.com. To reach me, my landline is 954-384-1217, and my website is Karen, Karen, Kaye, therapist.com.
That concludes this two-part series called I'm Still Here with therapist Karen Kaye. For further information, call us at 860-346-1049. The opinions expressed are those of the participants, not necessarily those of the staff or management of the station. I'm Paul Kretschmer on the WIHS Journal, Public Affairs from WIHS, Middletown.